What's up, folks? Welcome. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, single game $1 million winner. Here with some NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for both FanDuel and DraftKings for tonight's single game showdown slate, Monday Night Football between the Packers and the Vikings. If you're not already, please click that subscribe button below to make sure you get our latest videos whenever they're released. So let's jump into it. I'm going to try to make this quick. Unfortunately, sad face, it is the last Monday Night Football game of the season, therefore the last Monday night YouTube video with NFL DFS picks for FanDuel and DraftKings. But don't worry, we will have tons of videos for the playoffs and of course all of our content on OccupyFantasy.com. So tonight the Vikings are 5-point favorites. The total has been bet up to 47 points. Let's look at tonight from a low risk and a high risk perspective. Starting with low risk, as you know, we always like to try to fit in both running backs, both quarterbacks, and then fill in with value plays and or kickers or defenses when we can. The biggest piece of news for tonight's slate is the Vikings running back situation. So Dalvin Cook has been ruled out. They're going to rest him. Alexander Mattison, the rookie running back, is probably doubtful. He's listed as questionable, but it doesn't seem like he's going to play. Hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. He just tested his ankle in individual drills on Saturday. Seems very unlikely to play, especially since they have a very capable number 3 running back in Mike Boone. So Mike Boone, if you've ever played NFL preseason DFS, if you ever subscribed to our preseason content, you definitely know about Mike Boone. And as we look at his stats from the preseason, basically averaged, despite not playing every game or not playing the entire games in preseason, averaged about 11 carries, 49 yards per game, nearly a touchdown per game, nearly 2 catches per game. And again, this is playing less than 50% of the snaps in most of these preseason games. 4.5 yards per carry in the regular season in his limited touches. Scored 2 touchdowns last week in limited relief duty. Home run hitter. Guy's a full package. Those of you who are in dynasty leagues or have played preseason have been waiting for this guy to get a chance, and now he gets his chance. And here he is tonight in a great matchup and as a 5-point home favorite. Now, DraftKings and FanDuel didn't do us any favors. They priced him as one of the highest priced guys on the slate. But again, what I've been looking at this, what our model has been telling us, basically, how would you look at Dalvin Cook in this situation? And that's how you should look at Mike Boone. It may seem crazy given Dalvin Cook's ability, but Mike Boone is super talented. This is a great offensive system for him, and he should be a staple of most of your lineups tonight. So now, if we try to fit in quarterbacks and running backs into our low-risk lineup, so let's go Kirk Cousins at the captain, A-Raj, Aaron Jones, starting running back for the Packers, and then Mike Boone. That leaves us with $22.50 left over. There aren't any obvious value plays in the $2,000 to $1,000 range, so it gets kind of tricky. What you'll probably have to do is, let's say we go with Dan Bailey, who is a kicker on a 5-point home favorite, kicking indoors. Maybe we captain him to fit in these 4 plays. So if we captain, there he is, Dan Bailey. Captain him. And now we fit Kirk Cousins back into the mix. That leaves us with $3,600. Just misses another kicker or defense. However, you could go with a value play. It's a little tricky. It's definitely tricky tonight. It doesn't fit as easily as we'd like. Our recommendation is it's probably more of a high-risk night on DraftKings, and unless you can find some contests with inexperienced players, head-to-heads against players with no experience badges, small field double-ups in leagues where there aren't that many experienced players, and you should be able to get by fitting some combination of the 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs. But again, it's not that easy, not that straightforward tonight. If we hop over to FanDuel, as always, it's even more difficult. You know, Cousins captain, A-Raj, Aaron Jones, Mike Boone. That leaves us with $3,500 left per player, which is actually impossible. You can't really fade the quarterbacks in FanDuel because of the scoring and the lack of a salary multiplier. So you'd have to fade one of Aaron Jones, one of Mike Boone. Honestly, we'd probably fade Aaron Jones. And as we look at this slate from a high-risk perspective as well, Aaron Jones, prior to this season, was scoring a touchdown once every 22 opportunities. That's rushes plus targets. This year, it's up to 1 every 14.5 opportunities. He's been scoring touchdowns at a really unsustainable rate. So if you look at his game logs, he'll bounce between less than 10 points and more than 30 points. So for high-risk contests, you can either go Jones in your captain spot or MVP spot, or not use him at all. There's very little in between for Aaron Jones. And I guess as we talk this out, that's not really the type of low-risk play that you want. I know Aaron Jones will get touches and probably has a decently high floor compared to most of the players around him. But long story short, it's still difficult to play low-risk contests tonight, especially on FanDuel, as it always is in this format. All right, let's clear this. Let's go back over to DraftKings. And let's think about high-risk contests tonight. Satellites, 100-player leagues, GPPs, large field contests. What are we going to do? So the total is 47 points, and that's right on the line between a high total and a low total. If you've listened to our videos before, if you've read our daily plug on OccupyFantasy.com, you know that totals below 47 points, running back becomes the most optimal captain. They're the highest likelihood of being the optimal captain. Once you get 47 or higher, you start to look at pass catchers, receivers, and tight ends. So this on that line, right on that line, could go either way. So what can we do tonight? We can go Mike Boone, of course, 5-point favorite, should get 20 plus touches in a great matchup. Could go Aaron Jones, as we talked about, having a huge ceiling, tons of goal line work. Could score multiple touchdowns and being the highest scorer on the slate, despite being a 5-point underdog. Other guys we like, Devontae Adams, if we're going the pass catcher route. If you look at his game log, so 13 targets, 6 targets, 10 targets, 12 targets. His involvement over the last couple weeks since he's returned from his toe injury have just been outrageous. He has doubled the air yards and tripled the targets of any other receiver or tight end on the Packers roster over the last 3 weeks. I believe he's the top player in our model as of 10:30 a.m. Eastern. He's one of the best captain plays of the night on either FanDuel or DraftKings in high-risk contests. The other guy that we like, Stephon Diggs. Now, Adam Thielen should be back to a more full-time role tonight, we would believe. He played 51% of the snaps last week, eased back into the action after missing quite some time with his hamstring injury. But Diggs has dominated as well without Thielen, and even with Thielen in the lineup last week. 336 air yards, 24 targets the last 3 weeks. Diggs is one of the few players on our underperforming wide receiver list this week. And we've talked about this on our podcast many times. We talked about it in the Daily Plug. This underperforming wide receiver list is basically a list of receivers that have, over the last couple of weeks, seen a ton of opportunity, especially as a target share or air yard share of their team's passes. But in the box scores, they haven't converted for whatever reason. Off-target passes, haven't scored touchdowns, whatever it may be. Diggs is one of the few guys on the list this week. When those guys are on the list, we want to play them. They have very high chances of breaking out in the following week. And, just for some confirmation, when I got second in the FanDuel Million earlier this year, I had 2 guys from the underperforming receivers list in my lineup. When I got second last weekend at the WFFC Live Final for FanDuel, 4 underperforming receivers were in my lineup. So we're biased towards these guys. We love using them. Diggs is one of those tonight. He's a top 2 play in the model and a great captain and MVP option in high-risk contests. All right, I think that will do it. If you have any other questions about tonight's slate, drop a comment below, and we'll gladly answer them before the slate locks tonight at 8:20. If you have any opinions on how we could fit some of these guys into low-risk lineups, leave your thoughts below too. We'd love to hear them. If you're not already, again, please click that subscribe button. Get notified of our latest videos. We super appreciate that. OccupyFantasy.com is where you can check out today's final Monday night edition of the Daily Plug of the 2019 season. The Occupy model, our real-time player dashboard ranking every player on FanDuel and DraftKings, is also up and running, updated live throughout the day. OccupyFantasy.com. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at OccupyFantasy. Follow me at Brian Jester FF. If you have any questions, you can always hit us up there as well. All right, appreciate you guys listening. We'll talk to you soon, and good luck tonight.